News for MadWorldNews.com. Yesterday, Senator Cory Booker grandstanded as he declared his intent to release confidential documents. However, it turns out that the documents were duds and he was lying. When pressed for answers from the liberal media, Booker revealed his true character. The entire display of the Democratic Party during the Kavanaugh hearings has been despicable. These petty liberals made a mockery of a crucial process of our government. The confirmation of a Supreme Court justice is incredibly important. This man will serve on the court for decades, most likely the rest of his life. These hearings are meant to ensure the right man is getting the job. Democrats turned the hearings into a circus. They hired protesters to storm the room. Over 70 people were arrested for disrupting the meetings. Senators shouted down their colleagues, preventing Republicans and Kavanaugh himself from finishing their statements. Perhaps the most ridiculous stunt came from New Jersey's Cory Booker. He made a big deal about releasing documents that were supposed to be to expose Kavanaugh's views on racial profiling. Booker claimed the documents were confidential and that he was violating Senate rules to release them. He even said it might get him removed from office. It was all BS. Booker was lying to make himself appear brave and bold. He must really think the American people are that stupid. Only moments after he made this claim did the news come out the documents had already been cleared for release. Booker himself knew it. The stunt left Democrats angry, confused, and reeling. That includes the liberal media, who undoubtedly was embarrassed at Booker's actions. His lying made them all look bad, so it's no surprise that CNN and MSNBC took Booker to task over what he did. Senator Cory Booker received intense scrutiny from CNN and MSNBC on Thursday after he was caught in an apparent lie earlier in the day about documents he released that were connected to Judge Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court confirmation hearing. In an interview with CNN's Anderson Cooper, Booker refused to answer whether or not he knew that the documents were released before pulling this stunt. Booker bragged that he was taught growing up that he has an obligation to stand against what he deems to be unjust laws. Booker then repeatedly bragged about how he thinks he violated the rules of the Senate even though he didn't. In an interview with MSNBC's Chris Hayes, Booker repeatedly dodged questions on whether he knew that the documents were cleared to be released before this grandstanding stunt. From the Daily Wire, let's take a quick listen here, and then I guess we're going to see Chris Hayes.
You've called the process a sham. Do you think Kavanaugh has been honest in his testimony?
I guess the issue is, for me, is that the document release that they've been bragging about, how many thousands of pages they've released, when it comes to the body of his work, it really represents only about 10% of the totality of his documents. In the little bit that we've gotten, it's been marked committee confidential, that I continue today, tweeting every day, just pushing these committee confidential documents out against that sham rule. We are seeing already there's a lot of nuggets in there that are worthy of asking this candidate.
Well, speaking of the documents, this morning you said you were going to break Senate rules so you could release documents pertaining to Kavanaugh. You said you were willing to risk expulsion from the Senate to do that. Now Republicans on the committee have said that the documents had already been approved for release before 4 a.m. this morning. Senator Cornyn basically accused you of a political stunt to bolster a possible run for the presidency. Was that just a stunt?
Well, I mean, the amusing thing about that is, Cornyn first said is he threatened me with expulsion, said what I was doing was unbecoming to the office I was holding. It's a deep insult for a senator to give to a senator in an environment with lots of collegiality. He was doing that because last night I broke the Senate rules by reading from that email. And then today, throughout the entire day, this is not just about one email, I've already released over 20 committee confidential documents in violation of what they say are the Senate rules, in which Cornyn said I should be expelled for. So according to Cornyn's rules, it's a lot of talk, a lot of bluster right now. I am breaking the rule. But I was raised and taught that an unjust law, you almost have an obligation to stand against it. So I'm violating those laws. I have been doing all day. And it was an unjust law. You see, there's no consequence. They will not move to expel me from the Senate. for violating the committee confidential rules. And I will continue to do so because I believe the public has the right to know where he stands on these issues.
But I guess the question is, was it really a violation? Because at this point, I mean, to be clear, Bill Burke, the President Bush's presidential record representative, said he cleared the documents before 4 a.m. per your staff's request, and that they had told you you could use them publicly. Grassley's office also confirmed you were told that the restrictions on the documents had been waived before you spoke today. So how do you square that with the idea that, with what you've said?
Well, I square that very easily. Number one, last night I broke the rules before they even, then they scrambled to release the document, but I continue to release documents. I've released 20 so far that they have not cleared. I am breaking the rules. I'm breaking the sham rules. 20 documents. If you check my Twitter feed, anybody in the public now can have access to the ones that they wanted to hide. They haven't cleared those yet. Maybe they're rushing to catch up to me and clear those as well.
So the ones you talked about today, though, earlier, had those been cleared, and did you know those had been cleared?
Again, when I broke the committee rules last night, those documents had not been cleared.
Well, so much for that. And Cory Booker dodges twice on if he knew relevant Kavanaugh docs had been released.
Joining me now, Senator Cory Booker, who is a member of the Judiciary Committee and made his protest quite clear today in that confirmation hearing. First, how did that come about?
Well, last night, I had a frustration that there were documents that we had in our possession that they were not allowing the public to see after repeated requests from Democrats. I just used that documents last night in violation of procedure, and it began to bubble up again this morning as they were scrambling to deal with what I had done. And so there was a lot of heat going into that, and at some point I just had enough, and basically have been doing what I've been doing all day. It's just releasing document after document after document. I've released about 20 so far.
Okay,
in violation of their sham rules.
Right, so Bill Burke, who's the lawyer, who's, by the way, Steve Bannon's lawyer, Don McGahn's lawyer, and also the lawyer for the Bush administration overseeing the release of documents, basically said to reporters today, this was a stunt you pulled because they already cleared all the documents. These documents were cleared, and Cory Booker just was grandstanding. Is that true? Were the documents already clear, or were you violating the rules? I don't know.
I violated the rules, and I am violating the rules. And if it was histrionics, then why would John Cornyn do something that really I've never seen before in the Senate, which is literally accuse me of breaking rules and telling me that I was facing an ousting of the Senate? Really threatened me with that. So if what he's saying is true, then John Cornyn wouldn't have gone there. And the reality is it's all moot at this point because I'm continuing to release documents that they haven't approved yet.
So wait, okay. So this is a small thing, but I just want to make sure. You go there and you say this is a ridiculous rule. We have these documents. These should be made public. What is the possible rationale for keeping them? You release them in violation. John Cornyn reads you the Riot Act and says the penalty for this is expulsion. And then later, what you're saying is they're lying to save face by basically saying like, no, we already said it was fine, but that's a lie, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, it all started last night when I broke the rules. Now they're scrambling to try to do it. John Cornyn went where he should not have gone, and that's why I said some of this meetings, I will accept responsibility because they know it's a sham rule.
Well, he also doesn't have the votes for expulsion. You're not going to get expelled from the Senate.
I'm not going to get expelled from the Senate.
Right.
Well, in both interviews, Booker tries to dismiss what he did and what Republicans are accusing him of, but you can't ignore the panic in the man's eyes. He looks like a deer in the headlights, caught in his own web of lies. The man is struggling to salvage his reputation and failing spectacularly. The liberal media would like nothing more than to vindicate Booker as a leading Democrat in the Senate. They have reason to protect him. Liberals want men like Booker in D.C. undermining the Trump administration, but even the fake news media can't ignore a blatant lie. Booker and many of his Democratic cohorts have tried to use the Kavanaugh hearings to boost their own profile. They have made a mockery of our government for their own egos, but Booker crossed the line with a blatant lie and has made all Democrats look bad, as if they didn't look bad, but made them look worse than what they are. And when pressed for the truth, all he can do is distract, delay, deny. How about accusing others of what they're guilty of? That's what they usually tend to do. Anything they're guilty of, they accuse the Republicans for. I mean, it